parking removal in this area. And then a second project as part of the same package is Bike Boulevard on Fifth Avenue in the downtown area. So these projects are scheduled to begin this month. Again, the bike facilities will be installed toward the end of the project, coming up in early 2023. And then finally, Citywide Street Rehabilitation Package 3B, Phase 2, on Pacific Boulevard. That's installation of our Class 2 buffered and standard bike lanes. And that'll meet up at the north end with that Delaware Street Safe Routes to School corridor. So the construction for this project is scheduled again to begin this month. It's going to be a busy pavement couple of months. And the bike lane striping is expected to be done in winter 2022. Moving on into our planning projects, one that you've heard before, the Transit-Oriented Development Pedestrian Access Plan. This project is grant funded and it evaluates the full pedestrian path of travel to our transit stations in San Mateo. We will be returning to commission next month with the draft plan, so I don't expect to spend too much time on this, but we were recently at City Council with an overview of the project and draft improvements, and you can see here some of the work that's been done recently in terms of identifying potential improvements. For example, as shown here in our downtown area to access our downtown Caltrain station. Next planning project is the San Mateo Complete Streets Plan. So this is one that we were awarded funding from the Caltrans Sustainable Communities Grant Program. And this is a new plan for the city, and it intends to combine several of our existing plans into one overarching multimodal plan that basically supports the general plan update currently underway to focus on safety for all modes. It'll include design standards, streetscape concepts, and specific priority projects that are multimodal in nature. So taking our existing pedestrian plan, our bike master plan, our green infrastructure plan, and identifying priorities across all of the different modes and how to implement on various roadways. So for this project, the RFP was issued in May. We received proposals in late June, and we expect to bring that contract award to City Council in September. And finally, two short updates on some upcoming grants. One Bay Area grant, OBAG 3. Staff recently submitted a grant application to support the construction of the Peninsula Interchange project, and that project does include bicycle and pedestrian improvements. So we will hear back on that grant application in the hopefully near future. A second program that's coming up is the San Mateo County Transportation Authority Pedestrian and Bicycle Program. That call for projects was recently released, and staff is preparing an application for the construction of our downtown parking garage pedestrian safety project, which you had heard about as it was going through the design phase. So that project, the design is fully complete, the environmental has been completed, so now we're seeking funding. And to wrap up is a new grant update. This is the US 101 and 92 Mobility Hub and Smart Corridor project. So this is a really unique effort for the city that's a joint effort with the County Transportation Authority and Samtrans in supporting the 101-92 Direct Connector project, identifying multimodal improvements to include as part of that freeway project. So the multimodal improvements in the San Mateo right-of-way are a mobility hub that's proposed at the existing Caltrans Park and Ride underneath the 92-101 interchange that will house a new Samtrans Express bus stop. And then implementation of our planned Class 4 bike facility on Fashion Island and 19th Avenue. So that project is a multi-phase project. So the project team applied for initial funding for a feasibility study through the TA's ACR TDM grant program. That funding was approved last Thursday. So we have been approved for that feasibility study. And then the design funding was a separate OBAG 3 grant that was a joint grant application between the city, Samtrans, and the TA, and then additional funding through state Caltrans funds for the construction part of that effort. So many phases over many years, but we do have that initial funding identified for the feasibility study. And just one update again on following progress on implementation of the Bike Master Plan in particular at our website, www.cityofsanmateo.org/bike-plan. So we have all of our upcoming bike projects, all of our projects that are in progress, and then completed projects as well, including an interactive map with our bike facilities as they're implemented. And with that, that concludes staff presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Let's do questions first, and then if there are any public comment, and then we'll bring it back to the commission afterwards for comment, more discussion, final questions as well. Commissioner Narita, any questions?
Thank you. Yes, I do. Let me pull them up. They're on my phone. Okay, great. Thanks so much, Sue Ellen. Really appreciate the presentation, and congrats on the feasibility study grant. That's wonderful. Okay, so starting just like project by project, starting first with the Delaware one, do you mind pulling that slide back up? Or is that not? Yay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, great. And so just to confirm my understanding, the purple magenta.
To try to make that happen. Alrighty, thanks for the patience and thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Any other speakers?
I did see Sean Loxon hand raised, but I don't see it now.
Sean, I'll give you 10, 15 seconds to show back up. All right, I think we're going to come back to the commission now and start in reverse order of what I did before. This would be for final comments, if possible, and any additional questions, I guess. I just wanted to mention something that Rich Hedges spoke about, which is, I mean, we're sort of beyond it. We have a plan, but the east side does get a little bit of short shrift attention-wise, and I think it's something that it would be nice if staff could maybe raise the profile a little bit to see where there are problem areas that bicycle projects could help. And that's my only comment here. Commissioner Lorraine?
Thank you. Actually, I do want to see if I can ask a question based on public comment to staff about the idea of potentially flipping where the cars are on a road if we repave it. Is that an option? You know, would you say that might be an option in future Smooth Streets projects?
That is an option that we can evaluate in future designs. For ones to date, it has not been implemented, but we do evaluate what type of design to do each time. So parking protected bike lanes are certainly something in the toolbox that we do consider.
Thank you. Okay. I think I would like to just first mention that I'm looking forward to a number of the upcoming projects that we discussed tonight, especially the Safe Routes to School project on Delaware, as David mentioned, and the 28th Avenue Gap, because I find myself kind of there a lot right now and coming home via 28th, and it is a little tricky on either side to get across El Camino, so I imagine that'll help make it a lot better. Looking forward to it. I was glad to see the overall response to North Central programs and the survey. The number of red tipping requests, handicap spots. I'm hoping that these options are helping North Central residents, that this project is working better for them and is a better fit for them as a result of what's being offered, and including at the King Center parking options. And but I think, as Commissioner Rita noted, I think that doesn't mean there's not an opportunity to continue to listen and look for other opportunities to make it an even better fit and to learn more. So I'm looking forward to the update from the survey responses and analysis as well. Yeah, I think I just want to also say yay protected bike lanes, and I think we do want to be, I'm looking forward to the projects that are in the pipeline. I'm very much looking forward to the results of the studies at 25th and 28th. I frankly do feel that 28th could really use some more. Even though Rich mentioned we have a number of projects on 28th, it needs more, I believe, especially underneath the grade separation. In my anecdotal experience, I think the shared use path leaves a bit to be desired. I look forward to seeing how the gap closure project, may improve it. So I suppose I might be prejudging a little bit, but at the moment, I just think if there were an opportunity to have protected bike lanes, of course, on 25th and 28th, I think it would drastically improve the city. So I'm looking forward to seeing if that's possible. And I will just note also that I had the opportunity to ride on the North Central bike lanes a number of times. And I think, as someone who rode on North Humboldt for 10 years without bike lanes, it's a much better experience. It may not be a perfect experience, and I think as we've heard tonight, Class 2 lanes leaving you potentially in the door zone are not optimal. But of course, this project gives us a bit of both on Humboldt, which is nice. And I do think really on both sides, I feel less tension while I'm there. And I hope that other residents and visitors are finding a smoother ride, not unlike what I feel I experienced on San Mateo Drive. And as was mentioned too, I think being able to connect those two and having there be, a safer option to come into North Central from San Mateo Drive and vice versa is useful. So I do appreciate that. And those are my comments at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Narita.
Great, thank you so much. So Sue Ellen and Azalea, thank you so much for the presentation today. As always, it's absolutely delightful and really appreciate all your hard work. Couple things. I still remain very curious about the usability of bike boulevards insofar as who are we leaving not using bikes because of them? And I speak to this because I am one of these users. I'm not a user of bike boulevards. I'm a user of only bike lanes that actually have paint and separation and stuff because I just am too anxious. And I have to hope that there's others. I assume there's others like me in that respect. And so I still remain curious about data of who's left, in their cars accordingly by the use of bike boulevards. And I'm curious if the Complete Streets plan is an opportunity to maybe reflect and see if there's ways to take advantage of green infrastructure, pedestrian, and also maybe upselling some of our infrastructure to be more protected bike lanes than bike boulevards, because I think I'm one of many anxious people on that front. I really want to express my desire for updates on, reinforce my desire for updates on program measures. Totally understand that that's in the bike master plan, but I don't believe we've had an update on programs like in the last year that I've been on the commission, and I've asked a couple times. So I would love that to happen in some update, understanding like, you know, maybe it's in the fall when after the summer intern project is complete on the parking, or maybe it's later once the coordinator, Safe Routes to School coordinator has been hired and is onboarded, but just some sort of in the crystal ball. I would like that in one of these updates, having asked for it a few times. Really appreciated the comment on parking for bikes. So yeah, like I mentioned, would love to hear what the summer intern project winds up entailing in a future update, in a future quarterly update when the time's appropriate. I'd also like to just continue to reinforce coordination with Belmont on the Pacific project. I love that you took advantage of the pavement. That's the pavement opportunity that's so efficient and wonderful, and you know, still remain concerned about externalities when it comes to safety of the actual users of these bike lanes. And so I would love us to be able to prioritize speaking with Belmont and seeing, you know, what their prioritization and what they're studying in that vicinity, because it is genuinely very dangerous. And then on North Central, just wanted to express my appreciation for the continued efforts with the community and the residents. I know that's very hard work. Azalea, you mentioned, you know, lessons learned and reflections and how that will impact design that you bring to the commission and then to the council in future projects. And I would just urge us to name that. So as you present and as you make the report, say, hey, this was a lesson learned from our North Central work, and so because I think it's important for the public to hear that we're growing and evolving and maturing and learning as we go, and naming that is just really important. And I'd also love to continue to have in future updates, continued updates on the residents, impacts to residents when it comes to the various parking projects and the striping and all of those types of things that you gave today. I so appreciated that, and I would just urge and appreciate continued engagement and learning and information on that in future updates. So thank you so much.
Yes, Commissioner Lorraine.
Thank you, Chair, for your flexibility tonight. I think after hearing some great comments, I was reminded of a couple more that I thought might be useful to add. One was just, I think, to better address a public comment we heard earlier tonight about the idea that drawing a line doesn't mean you've created infrastructure. I wholly agree. And I think I just am hopeful that upcoming projects will show that the city agrees with that as well. And so I think my belief, hope, and sense is that there are, as was mentioned, a number of lanes and frankly streets and areas in our city that are not where we'd like them to be from a quality standpoint. But part of the idea, of course, behind what's being done is to increase the network and find opportunities to improve this where we can, and particularly through the pavement program as well. So I believe our best days are ahead of us, and I hope that future projects will make for fewer experiences like what we heard tonight. I also did just want to mention about on the subject of bike boulevards, I had a conversation recently with a neighbor who knows a thing or two about bike boulevards and wanted me to look at Bryant Street in Palo Alto in particular as an example of the opportunity to do more with bike boulevards. And that made me think a little bit about the 28th Avenue Bicycle Boulevard that we have. It seems to me, and this is, I hope this is not unfair, but it feels like two boulevards. The west side on the hill, I think has a bit more visible work put in to calm traffic, and that might have to do with the existing conditions, right? Like it might be, for example, that area up by the park needed more work to calm traffic in the first place. But I'm thinking of like a raised crosswalk, the humps, the tire sort of speed bumps with the cuts that allow bicycles to pass through, you know, more visible walkways, and, you know, red curbing and so on. And then on the east side, I guess, you know, perhaps again, because maybe Bay Meadows is, you know, already a bit design, you know, it has more of a modern design that perhaps didn't need as much traffic calming, but it seemed as though there was less visible additions. I guess this is a long way to walk through saying that there may be hopefully other opportunities to improve on bicycle boulevards, or add more to them rather, so that hopefully people are getting a physical sense that, oh yes, this has been improved for bicycling. And I am now more interested in going into this lane as opposed to any street that might be a bit on the calm side. Hacienda comes to mind in San Mateo, because now I'm near there, and I rode it today on the way to City Hall. You know, personally, as someone who rides a lot alone, and I mean, it doesn't bother me. It feels fairly calm to me without a lot of amenities at the moment, but I know it's on our plan, and so it seems to me like to bridge the gap between someone like me riding on it and someone who may be on the fence at the moment. I hope there may be opportunities, and so I'm going to look into that, and if I find anything in particular or on that lane, I can I'll share with staff any ideas that I think might be interesting. But I'll just make that comment. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, staff, very much. Sue Ellen particularly, thanks so much for the update. On to reports and announcements. Anything from the department?
Just letting you know that we will start, as I mentioned before, the planning for the capital improvement program budget. So a lot of your feedback will take back into our planning for that. So thank you.
That's great. Commissioners have anything to report?
Yes, I'll just note that Bike Summit is this month. So Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition is sort of our local coalition. It serves San Mateo County and Santa Clara counties. And they have an annual summit on biped programming. They have a lot of cool guest speakers. They're in Millbrae this year, and it's on August 18th. I don't have their website handy. I think it's bikesiliconvalley.org. I'm pretty sure that's right. Or you can Google Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing nothing further, the meeting is adjourned. Thanks all.